Hey, it's Don Bendel, and I'm want to tell you my nightly story or daily story, I should say. I grew up in Akron, Ohio, and in my middle school and high school years, I lived in a place called Portage Lake, south of Akron, Ohio, and I lived on a place called Turkey Foot Lake. It was considered kind of a resort area around there. Everybody had a boat as a second car. And then in the wintertime, we played a lot of hockey and ice sailing and, hunting, ice fishing, all those things. So one time it was wintertime and I was ice fishing and I saw these ice shanties out on the lake. And I saw these men who had gone at great expense to buy these ice shanties, which they would take maybe on skate blades and push them out onto the ice, and they would sit there with a little heater in their shanty, and they'd drill a hole in the ice with their auger, their power-driven auger or gas-powered auger, and drill the hole in the ice, and they would have fancy tackle and various jigs and so on, and they would try to catch largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, crappies, pike, muskies, things like that. And so I was out there fishing, and these fishermen weren't catching any fish this one day. And of course, I grew up on Turkey Foot Lake basically, so all of us around there knew all the tricks on fishing. And so I watched these men with their expensive shanties and winter fishing gear, and they would abandon a hole and they'd go to another hole and move the shanty there. And I'd go to the hole that they would leave, and I had a small bamboo pole, and I had just some string on the end of the bamboo pole, and had a little bit of a leader, a bobber, and a hook. And I would put bait on the hook, put it down the hole, and I'd catch a fish. I'd pull the fish up, pull it out of the hole, and I noticed after several fish that some of these men kind of moved their shanties closer to where I was fishing. So when they would leave a spot, I would go to the spot that they abandoned, and I would fish in that hole, and I would catch more fish out of that hole. And all of these fishermen with their fancy, expensive equipment, I could tell were getting perplexed and upset about it. They kept watching me, and I just kept catching fish, just being a kid catching fish. So finally, these fishermen came over to me and they said, "Hey, kid, we have all this expensive equipment and we're not catching anything. You're going to the holes that we abandoned and you're pulling fish out, fish after fish." And I said, and they said, "What?" And I said, and they said, "What?" And I went, "You have to keep your worms warm." That's my story for the day. See you later.